Hello, I'm Denise, a 31-year-old woman who just got divorced. I never thought that I'd ever be divorced because I thought I was in the happiest relationship of my life. But when I looked closer into it, I realized that my marriage was very far from perfect. A lot of things contributed to it, so let me start from the beginning. I met Peter through a mutual friend. We hit it off pretty well from the start. Peter was a very attractive man with a very attractive personality. We began seeing each other and then dated for a good 4 years before deciding to get married. Everything in our relationship was pretty smooth sailing. Peter and I shared a lot of the same values, and in general, both of us were very accommodating of each other. The only issue we had was Peter's parents, Orla and Dave. They were nothing short of evil. The first time I met Orla and Dave, neither of them even glanced my way. When I got to the dining table, there were only 3 plates set out for the 3 of them. I was confused and very humiliated. Peter didn't speak up for me. He just kept his head down and looked away. I had to bring up the fact that I didn't have my own plate, and Orla acted dumb before saying that she had forgotten that I was there. Dinner after that wasn't any easier either. Orla and Dave pretty much ganged up on me and humiliated me. Peter was silent the entire time. Looking back, I guess that should have been an indicator of what my marriage to him would have looked like. I sat through every comment, and I was more than ready to go back home. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know if I wanted to yell at Peter for not even having my back and warning me about his parents, or at least speaking up for me, or if I just wanted to curl up in bed and cry. The drive back home had been silent. When we got back home, I gave Peter time to apologize, but he never really approached me about it. He continued about his night as if his parents hadn't just spent the night humiliating me. So I decided to talk to him about it. We need to talk. I was actually just going to sleep. Stop running away from things like a coward, Pete. Who are you calling a coward? You. Who else? I mean, you definitely don't have a spine of your own. You just let your parents crap on me, and you didn't say anything all night. Well, what do you expect me to say? Did you really expect me to disrespect my parents in their own home, which they had graciously opened for us? Don't try and guilt me into suppressing my emotions. You know how your parents are. Couldn't you have warned me? And I'm not even asking you to disrespect your parents. You could have just asked them not to talk to me that way. My parents aren't anything like yours. They're different, and they would have taken me speaking up as disrespect. Are you seriously still defending your parents? Obviously, they're my parents. Do you even feel bad for what happened to me? Can we not do this? Seriously? I'm going to go to sleep. Good night. Peter left me standing there. I was hurt and upset. I couldn't believe that Peter didn't even feel bad for me. I hoped that Peter was just feeling embarrassed, which was why he was reacting this way. I went to bed feeling pretty empty. When morning came, Peter acted like everything was fine. It peeved me at first. I didn't speak to him for about a week. I was mad. I didn't want to let go of my anger until he apologized. But that apology never came. I knew that it wasn't a hill I was willing to die on. I didn't want to let go of my relationship with Peter over that, so I started talking to him again. I tried my best to put his parents' behavior and his negligence behind me. It became an unsaid thing, but after our first visit to Orla and Dave's, we never went back or even made an effort to meet them. The next time we saw them was at our wedding. At our wedding, I pretty much avoided Orla and Dave like the plague. I tried my best to have as little contact with them as possible, but eventually I had to talk to them. They walked up to us at our reception to congratulate Peter and me on our marriage. There's my handsome son and his wife. Congrats, son. Thanks, guys. Yeah, thanks. So what plans do you have for your honeymoon then? We were thinking of going to Hawaii. Why not some place abroad? Oh, we don't have the budget for that. Nonsense. We'll fund it. Seriously? Yeah, but we have one condition. We'll join you guys and make it a vacation instead. Of course, that would be amazing. What place do you have in mind? We were thinking of Paris. That would be great. Denise has always wanted to go, isn't it? Yeah, excuse me, I need to go to the washroom. I was not happy with this. I wanted time alone with Peter. I mean, isn't that what a honeymoon is all about? Hawaii wasn't Paris, but it's still a beautiful place, and it was a place that I've always wanted to visit too. I didn't like that Peter just decided without even stepping away to ask me. I tried my best to let go of my feelings and enjoy the night, but I really wasn't feeling the mood anymore. I rode out the rest of the reception and rode back home with Peter quietly. I was drained of all my energy and had no energy to talk to him about why I was upset. I slept over it, and the next morning I still felt crappy about it, so I told Peter about it. I need to talk to you about something that's been bothering me. What is it? It's about the honeymoon plans. I felt like you decided without considering how I felt. Come on, my parents' offer is fantastic. You have to admit it, Paris is a dream destination and you always wanted to go, right? It's not about the location. It's about the fact that we didn't even discuss it. A honeymoon is a special time for us alone. Well, we'll have alone time eventually. Right now, it's a great opportunity and we can't pass it up. Okay, but you know how your parents treat me. Is this really a smart decision? Look, my parents are trying to be nice. Stop overthinking things and ruining this for us. I just wanted us to have a say in our honeymoon. Is that too much to ask? You either come or you don't. Don't think of all the negative aspects. Look at it as a chance to explore a new place with me. I don't want to hear any more of this. I have to admit that it hurt to hear Peter talk to me that way. Would he really be okay with me not coming along with him on this honeymoon turned vacation? I decided to just suck it up and go. The vacation was set to happen a month after our wedding. When the day came, we met with Orla and Dave at the airport. They greeted me with so much friendliness that I was caught off guard. They were unusually nice and caring. Since I was thrown so off guard, I guess I kind of closed myself off. They were nice for the first week in France. We still had another 3 to go. I was beginning to get used to their sudden change of behavior. But then they slowly started going back to their old ways. It started off with them making fun of what I was wearing. Orla would ask me if I thought that what I was wearing was smart. And some days they would make plans to go to these fancy places where they would deliberately exclude me from going in with them because they thought my clothes were embarrassing. Keep in mind, I was dressed more than decently and even got complimented for it by the few French people we interacted with. Then they started leaving me out of things for no reason. They would take Peter with them and go off with him for a good portion of the day and not tell me about a thing. I think I spent a good portion of my time at the hotel itself. Then came the comments about my weight and what I ate. If I ordered anything other than salad, Orla would make jabs at me. All the while she was stuffing her face with steak. Throughout the entire thing, Peter would never say anything. Sometimes I'd even catch him holding himself back from laughing. I was honestly more than ready to go back home. I counted down the days till it was time to leave. I couldn't keep hanging out with Peter and his parents. His parents bullied me relentlessly while Peter just ignored everything. I knew that I was going to have to talk to Peter about this later too, because every time I tried to talk to him, he never seemed to understand or want to hear about it. On our last day there, I decided to get Peter and my passports and tickets all organized together. Peter handed me his tickets, but when I asked him about my tickets, he said he didn't have them. It was odd that Orla and Dave hadn't handed me my ticket, but I was so absorbed with surviving this vacation that the weirdness of the situation never really got to me. Anyway, I went up to Orla and Dave's room and knocked on the door. Orla opened the door. "Hey, Orla, we'll be leaving tomorrow, right?" "Oh, yeah, Peter, Dave, and I will be leaving in 4 hours." "What? What about me?" "We forgot to buy your ticket. Whoops." "Whoops? Is that all you have to say? How could you possibly have forgotten to book my tickets?" "Calm down, Denise. We'll buy you your own tickets. It's okay." "No, it's not okay. They can't keep pushing me to the side and you can't keep supporting them." "Peter, she can't buy the same tickets as us." "What do you mean?" "All tickets on our flights are sold out." "Great. What are you going to say about this, Peter?" "I'm sorry." "No, sorry won't work. What's your solution?" "First of all, stop hounding my son. Talk to him with respect. Secondly, figure out your own solution. He's not responsible for your issues." "Peter, would you stay back at least?" "But I want to go to Turkey." "He's coming with us. Figure out your problem yourself." I was beyond shocked by this news. As Peter and I left their room, I tried asking him over and over again to not leave me alone. But he just looked away from me in embarrassment. He told me that his parents had paid for this trip from their retirement fund for him, and he wasn't going to disrespect them like that. I didn't say it at that time because I was so appalled. But all I could think about was, what about how your parents are disrespecting your wife? I watched Peter pack his bags through tears. He barely looked at me or even apologized. He never even offered to pay for my ticket back. I had half a mind to cause a scene, but at the same time I was humiliated enough. When it came time to leave, Peter walked away with his head down, while Orla and Dave gleefully waved me goodbye. I was mad. I was fuming. I didn't know what to do. I was stuck in an entirely foreign country all alone. Peter didn't stay back with me either. I was mad at all of them. I tolerated their behavior and all their quips for the entire month. I tolerated Peter not saying anything. I was done. I needed to get revenge, and I knew just how to. You see, as soon as Peter was financially stable, his parents retired. They had taken an assumable mortgage to transfer to Peter when he was stable. They transferred the mortgage to him once they retired. Now, Peter didn't have that kind of money to spare. It's why he still lived in an apartment. He was drowning in debt and the house was on the brink of foreclosure. So he nominated me to be the next owner. I earned more than him and had excellent credit. I contacted my best friend, Pearl, to tell her of my situation. Her husband, Terry, was a lawyer who specialized in property issues. I got on a conference FaceTime call with them and worked out a proof of how I had been the one paying off the mortgage ever since Peter nominated me. As soon as Peter transferred the mortgage to me, he stopped paying or even contributing. I was okay with it at first because I figured that this was the first time in a long while that he had money to spare at the end of the month. He blew all of his money on a lot of useless things. I didn't say anything until I realized 6 months had gone by and not once had he contributed towards his parents' mortgage. When I did say something about it, he lost his temper with me. He berated me for being jealous that he was living the life I had lived earlier before I took on mortgage payments. In hindsight, I should have realized that probably should have been something that rang alarms about how he would be as a husband. Anyways, talking to Pearl's husband, Terry, helped open my eyes to all the things in my relationship with Peter that were questionable and even borderline insane. My God, Denise, how did you not realize how horrible Peter was before you even got married? I don't know. I actually don't know. I guess I loved him and didn't think he could do anything wrong. Okay, but he literally used you to pay off his home. You have to admit that that's a little insane. I know, but what do I do now? We can very easily transfer the house in your name. Can we? Yeah. You've been paying it off for over a year. You just have to contact the bank and get his name removed. You know what? I'll do it. And I'll have you an eviction notice drawn up so you can throw them out. How long will it take? Oh, you don't have to worry about it. Terry's got his contacts. He'll handle everything before you're back. You guys are seriously the best. Thanks a lot. You just have to promise us you'll be alert next time and that you won't let anyone use you like this. Oh, I promise, but I think it'll be a while before I trust someone new again. I knew that Peter and his parents had a 36-hour layover in Turkey. They planned their trip that way because they wanted to stay at the hotel at the airport in Istanbul. I was excited initially to be a part of it, but now I'm grateful I'm not. It gave me extra time to be home before them and serve them with an eviction notice. I booked my flight home and was lucky enough to get a flight in a couple of hours. The entire flight back home, I was a crying mess. I couldn't believe that this was what my life had come to. I had loved Peter with everything I had in me. I hated that I had overlooked every flaw in Peter, and this was how he repaid me. Not once did he call to check up on me. The only thing that consoled me was the satisfaction of throwing all of them out of their own house. For a brief moment, I wondered what they would do. The three of them would have to squeeze into Peter and I's apartment, but our lease was going to be up by next month. I knew they didn't have that kind of money to rent another apartment immediately after this trip. But then I remembered that they had been the ones to abandon me without even thinking about whether I would have been able to come back home. If they could do that to me, I could do it to them without feeling an ounce of guilt. As soon as I landed back home, I checked on Peter and his parents' flight status. They were going to leave in about 2 hours. I didn't care that I didn't get much sleep. I was running on the adrenaline of getting revenge. The first thing I did after getting out of the airport was drive straight to Orla and Dave's house. They kept a spare key under the mat, so I used it to get in and Gresham up. Then I got my laptop out and found the best divorce lawyer in my vicinity. I filed for a divorce and contacted Pearl to tell her that I had reached out. She and Terry came over so I could sign some paperwork to remove Peter's name from ownership and to sign the eviction notice. Seeing them brought over all the emotions I had been trying to suppress since I landed. I hated coming back to the place where there were only reminders of Peter everywhere. But Pearl and Terry were my friends, and we'd been through thick and thin together. They let me cry out my feelings for a while. When they left, I checked on Peter's flight and saw that it would take them another hour to get on the plane. I decided to take some time to sleep. I needed to not look like I was a mess or struggling. I struggled, but eventually I fell asleep. When I woke up, I realized that I had slept for about 10 hours. I quickly got dressed and ready. I went to the divorce attorney's office and collected the divorce papers. When I got back, I had to wait about an hour before Peter and his parents came back. My heart pounded as the time drew nearer to their return, but I knew I had to stay strong. When they got back, they were surprised to see me there in their house. What are you doing here? When did you even get back? Babe, I was trying to call. Save it. You didn't try anything. To answer your questions, Orla and Dave, I got back yesterday and I came here for a reason. Make it quick. We're all tired from traveling and we want to get some rest. Well, I want you guys out of my house. Your house? What are you even talking about? Stop wasting our time. Get out. Oh no, you guys need to get out. Don't you dare talk to my parents that way. I won't as long as they get off my property. This isn't your property, Denise. It is now, since I've been paying the mortgage off for the past year. What? Peter, what is she saying? We thought you were the one who was paying it off. For God's sake, we gave you the house because you said you could handle the payments. Well, he couldn't. He nominated me as an owner, and I had it off. I threw him off the owner's list because he hadn't paid a cent towards it, and now the house is mine. So get out. The three of them stared at me in shock and disbelief. They tried to plead their case and begged me to let them stay with me, but I told them that I had had enough of their bullying. I told them to get out or I would get the police involved. Right before they left, I handed Peter the divorce papers. I told him I didn't want to be with someone who would gladly use me for his gain and not ever stand up for me when I most needed it. Peter tried to apologize and begged me not to leave him, but the hurt was too much to continue to stay with him. I watched them leave and my heart was full of satisfaction. It would be a while before the hurt and betrayal completely cleared out, but at least I had taken control of my situation. I didn't let either Peter's or his parents' actions get to me or define me, and in my books, that's the biggest win of them all. It's been a couple of months since all of this has happened. Peter tried to contest the divorce, but he quickly realized how expensive it was going to be for him, so he backed off. The last time I heard about their situation, I found out that they had stayed with a bunch of relatives before they could afford an affordable place. Orla and Dave went right back to work so they could support themselves. It sucked that they were struggling, but this is the lesson they learned from messing with the person that was helping them. I've been happier ever since I threw them out of my life. Yeah, sometimes memories of everything they did to me come back, but I always let the satisfaction of my revenge comfort me.